Okay, today's project is going to be replacing the radiator with a new aluminum one. I've had troubles for a long time with the engine running upwards of 220, at times when I think it shouldn't. I've been able to pretty much fix those problems by running a severe duty fan clutch. And that's fine for me. It seems to work fine, and I don't overheat anymore. But I've always wondered, do I have problems with my radiator? Is that causing some of the problem? So I took the opportunity. I purchased a new superior aluminum radiator, and we're going to swap these out and see if it helps. So you're going to see me struggling here trying to get this out. I don't recall exactly why I was having so much problem, but it's not easy just by yourself. It is possible though. Just go slow and don't get too frustrated. So I'm using a tarp here to make it slippery so that I can get the radiator in and out more easily, or get it in more easily in this case. And it does help quite a bit. You should also note I didn't decide to do what many people have done, which is to cut the bottom frame of the radiator off and weld on some brackets and make it so that it can bolt together, so that basically the frame stays in the vehicle and you just unbolt the bottom and slide the radiator out the bottom, which would be a lot easier. I mean, it avoids taking apart quite a bit of the stuff that is essentially attached to this frame. I don't know. I decided I'm hoping I don't have to take this out too many times, but so while you're watching the rest of this installation, let me just give you a little background on what I found. I started off kind of hopeful, and I went back to a heavy-duty fan clutch instead of the severe duty that I'd been running. I also went up to a 195-degree thermostat rather than the 180 that I'd been running. And the first couple trips that I made, well, actually the first trip in the spring, I noticed the temperature was not what it used to be. It was running hotter, and I didn't like it. So I kind of figured that the radiator itself hadn't done anything to change engine coolant, but that the fan clutch was my problem, because I've been through this many times. So I went back to the heavy-duty fan clutch, and for sure it immediately fixed my engine coolant problems. But on the next couple of trips, also in kind of cooler weathers, I noticed that the transmission oil temperature was much higher than I'd seen it in the past. And the other concerning thing was the engine oil pressure was surprisingly low. When I was up to speed and up to temperature, it was below 20 psi, which I had not seen before. So that was concerning to me. So what I figured was the oil coolers on this radiator are just not the same as the old one, and they're just not as good, which is kind of a bummer, because it was pretty expensive and it took a lot of time putting in. And ultimately what I did was put a transmission oil cooler on in front of this, and that immediately helped my transmission temperatures. And for my engine oil temperature, or my suspicion of engine oil temperature, my oil pressure problems, I switched up to a 20W50 weight oil, and that so far has fixed my oil pressure problems. So we'll see. But I'm not really all that excited about this radiator, other than the fact that it is pretty, and at least not yet, it does not have all of the fun roadkill on it. Anyway, thanks for watching.